You have 3 hours to make sense of a world in crisis. Your mind is a tangle of trade wars and shifting alliances, and it all must be distilled into a single blank-lined examination paper. Most aspirants approach this paper with emotion. They rely on descriptive writing, hoping that a passionate summary of historical tragedies or political injustices will earn a passing mark. The examiner is looking for analysis. While a description merely recites a timeline of a conflict, an analysis identifies the underlying variables, explains the specific incentives involved, and projects the long-term strategic implications. Approach the geopolitics essay as an engineering problem. It is a structure built on the laws of logic, requiring a rigid frame and a sequence of verifiable proofs. Mastering this structural logic allows you to translate the complexity of international relations into a high-scoring, professional argument. The foundational blueprint for this structure is the thesis statement. This single sentence governs the direction of your entire 2,500-word essay. A competitive thesis statement combines 3 non-negotiable components: an argument, a reason, and a direction. These pieces lock together to form a specific analytical claim. Consider a prompt on the shifting global order. The argument states that the transition to a multipolar world is accelerating. The reason adds that this is driven by the expansion of non-Western economic blocs and the decline of traditional financial hegemony. Hegemony refers to the political, economic, or military dominance of one state over others. The final piece, the direction, links this global shift to actors, forcing middle powers like Pakistan to utilize strategic hedging to maintain regional autonomy. Strategic hedging is a diplomatic strategy where a state avoids choosing sides between rival powers to minimize risk. This thesis is debatable. You're taking a distinct position that an examiner can evaluate, rather than stating a universal fact that requires no proof. A rigidly engineered thesis provides a roadmap that keeps the essay on course, preventing the narrative from drifting into irrelevant historical summaries. The Federal Public Service Commission expects to see your logic before they read your first paragraph. They require an outline, a clear, logically ordered list placed at the very start of your paper. The outline follows a chronological flow: the introduction, the context or causes of the issue, the primary impacts, your proposed solutions, and finally, the conclusion. Each body paragraph within this outline must lead with a clear topic sentence. This sentence serves as a localized thesis for that specific subpoint. Underneath that topic sentence, you include your evidence and analysis. This is where you cite UN reports, government white papers, or expert data to validate your claims. Avoid the trap of spending pages on historical background. An examiner will penalize an essay that rushes through current impacts and solutions to save time. A balanced, structured outline guarantees you cover every dimension of the prompt, proving your organizational competence from the first page. Precise structure requires precise language. Casual, jingoistic, or emotional descriptors signal a lack of maturity in geopolitical analysis. Replace weak descriptive verbs with international relations terminology. Instead of writing that a nation is bullying others, analyze its belligerence. Belligerence refers to aggressive or warlike behavior. Upgrade a basic sentence like, "The countries are fighting on the border," to, "The breakdown of strategic deterrence has led to localized kinetic action." Strategic deterrence is the ability to prevent an enemy's attack through the threat of retaliation. Kinetic action refers to active, physical military force. Modern conflicts often involve a mix of traditional military force and non-military tactics, like cyber attacks or disinformation. This is hybrid warfare. Identifying these overlapping methods requires specific terminology to appear analytical. Integrate direct quotes from international bodies to build a highly authoritative tone. Use a quote as a structural support for your own argument, rather than using it as a substitute for your own analysis. Adopting the lexicon of an ambassador forces you to remain objective, demonstrating a mastery of the subject matter. To ensure your analysis has sufficient depth, apply the PEST framework. This is a tool to extract the political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental dimensions of any crisis. When analyzing U.S.-China rivalry, the technological facet moves the discussion beyond military bases. You evaluate the race for AI governance, semiconductor supply chains, and cybersecurity standards. The economic facet forces you to analyze global trade imbalances, the impact of tariffs, and the use of infrastructure loans as a tool for strategic leverage. Every global event analyzed in this paper must be explicitly linked to Pakistan's strategic reality. A conflict in Europe, such as the Russia-Ukraine war, creates secondary economic shocks in the global south. You must explain how distant combat directly affects Pakistan's domestic inflation and energy security. Shifts in the world order lead states to prioritize regional alliances, like the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. You must analyze how Pakistan uses these forums to balance its foreign relations as the unipolar order fades. Economic fragility, such as high debt and fiscal deficits, often limits a state's foreign policy independence. You must link global debt crises directly to domestic governance challenges. Tethering international shifts to national consequences ensures that no crisis is discussed in isolation. Do not end your essay on a complaint. A vague call for the world to act without a specific mechanism signals a lack of strategic depth. Dedicate the final 20% of your essay to the way forward. This section provides actionable, pragmatic policy recommendations. Propose specific mechanisms, such as revitalizing back-channel diplomacy or implementing legal reforms for national cyber infrastructure. Highlight geoeconomic leverage. Infrastructure like deep water ports and trade corridors can be utilized as diplomatic tools, binding regional neighbors into shared economic interests and reducing the likelihood of conflict. Exceptional candidates move beyond diagnosing a crisis. They demonstrate a policymaker's mindset by focusing on viable diplomatic off-ramps and stable solutions. The conclusion synthesizes your work. It must not introduce new facts. Instead, it demonstrates how the analyzed data has proven the thesis you established in the introduction. By connecting your diagnosis to your policy suggestions and a brief future outlook, you create a logical loop that solidifies the argument. High scores are achieved through a rigid framework, precise terminology, and a solution-oriented tone. Applying these engineering principles to your writing allows you to translate the chaos of global geopolitics into a definitive academic analysis.